guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be an update on the Pan to Repurpose challenge that I am working on for 2020. So basically the objective of this challenge is to try and hit pan or use up as many shades as I can in all of my tin packaging palettes. They're all two-faced palettes except for this one from the Balm, which is just like a little tiny palette. So last update, I mentioned that I was adding 2 new palettes to the project because originally the project was just using these 2 palettes, my oldest chocolate bar palettes. And then in the last update, I mentioned that I picked up this one and I believe this one, and they were getting added to the project. And now I have to let you guys know that I'm adding 2 more, which are the Sweet Peach and the Clover palette, which are also the tin packaging palettes. So now there's a total of 6 palettes in the project. So obviously it's unrealistic to expect that I can finish all of these in a year, or even hit pan in every shade of these in a year. So just keep that in mind. I mean, the updates are hopefully going to still be showing enough progress to be entertaining for you guys, although this particular one I didn't get a ton of use this past month out of these palettes, unfortunately, so there isn't a ton of progress since the last update, but it is what it is. So let's just get into it. So we're going to start with the original chocolate bar palette. So not a lot of progress since last month. As you can see, I'd still just have the 1 pan in that bottom large shade, which is like the pink shade. I did mention last month that I had a couple shades I wanted to focus on, and I did manage to get a bit of a deeper dip going in those shades, but not enough to really translate on camera. So I'm going to continue working through this one. This is one of my oldest palettes in my entire collection, so I definitely want to see at least 1 more pan in here by next month. There's a couple shades that are close, so I think I can do it if I work really hard to just hit pan in 1 more shade. That is going to be my objective for the next month for this palette. 1 shade I would like to hit pan on in this palette. Any shade that I want. Next we have the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. This one is a little messy at the moment, and that's because I dropped it. It fell the other day, and the shade in the top corner here, Licorice, it's like a matte black. As you can see, it broke, like a layer of it kind of chipped off and fell off, and so the other shades have a little bit of that black powder in it right now just because of how that happened. So basically the main and only update to this palette is the bigger dip in the Licorice shade, only because it broke. So that wasn't really an accomplishment on my part, but you know, things happen. Oh, see, look, I really need to like actually do a full clean out of this palette because there's black like everywhere just from that 1 shade. Yeah, so nothing new really to report on this one. I'm gonna keep working at it as well. I would like to hit pan in this one too, but it's gonna be a little bit harder than the first one because there's not as many dips in this one as there are in the original chocolate bar. Oh, I see where it's coming from. There's a big chunk of black shadow right there, and it's getting all over my hands. This is great. So I'm gonna put that one to the side because I'm gonna clean it right after this video. I'm just gonna pause, rinse my hand off real quick, and then get back to you guys because otherwise I'm gonna get black on literally everything. So I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Moving on to the next palette in this project, which will be the Gingerbread Spice. This one I'm really enjoying lately. Oh, I just dug my finger into a shadow right after I cleaned my hands. Lovely. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this palette right now. It's got some really gorgeous shades in it. So I have been able to make quite a bit of progress, especially on Spiked Eggnog here, which is my favorite shade in the palette. It's like such a beautiful shade, and I do have a pretty significant dip in it. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I do. So I'm thinking I would like to hit pan on 1 shade in here in the next month as well, particularly that one because that's the only one I really have a chance at hitting pan on. The rest of them, it's just unrealistic to expect to hit pan on any of the other shades. But I do really like reaching for this palette. It's surprising because I actually ordered that one and the Sweet Peach and the Clover palette all in one order, and this one was the one I was like least excited about. I just kind of added it to my order because I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of nice, but like out of the three, I thought I would like this one the least, and in fact it's the opposite. I like this one the best out of the three. So yeah, I'm gonna continue working away at that one. So next we have the Pick Perf by the Balm. This one I'm just gonna pull out because it's got a little tab you can pull out the shadows. I'm just gonna pull it out for the sake of having it a little easier to show you guys where I'm at. So as you can see, I have not actually used this one yet. I haven't touched any of the shadows. The only thing I did manage to do in this month for the sake of trying to have something to show you guys in the update was I did try out the neutral primer there. It's that big pan at the bottom. So I don't know if you can tell that I've used it. If it'll focus, then you can probably see that I have dipped into it. It's like a cream primer, but I did find that it's a little bit, I'll just show you on camera, might as well. So it takes a minute to kind of warm up with your finger, but then here's what the color looks like. So as you can see, it's way too dark for my skin tone. Typically I like to use a primer on my eyelids. Like I use a primer every time, but I like to use one that kind of is white, or at least a light beige or skin tone, like something that will match my skin tone. And I get that, like, obviously my skin tone maybe isn't, you know, the most common skin tone because I am quite white, quite pale. So this would work really well with someone with like a medium skin tone, and I guess they had to pick something, so they went with medium for this palette. But for me, that's like, if I put this on as a primer, it just looks like I have a brown eyeshadow on, to be honest with you. So it's not my favorite primer to use. I still like to use my Too Faced primer instead. So for that reason, I realized it's going to be a little bit more challenging to actually use up that neutral primer because it doesn't really look neutral on me. So yeah, I'm not even sure I'll get very much use of it. Like, it's going to be hard to pan it, that's for sure. But that's all I kind of have to report for that palette. And then the next two arrived kind of mid-month, so I wasn't able to really do a whole lot with them this month. So they're kind of like new additions. I have swatched them, so as you can see, this is the Peach palette, and you can see that I've swatched it because it's like not in pristine, like perfect condition. But beyond swatching, like, I have not actually even used this palette yet. So it's, again, unrealistic to expect I'm gonna hit pan on any shades in for the next update because it's brand new. So all I would like to set myself as a goal for this particular palette is just to use it. I mean, to use it even just a couple of times, like, just because I haven't used it yet. So it would be nice to just like try it out. So that's all I'm gonna say for that one. And the next one is the Clover palette. I got that at the same time. This one I have tried out a couple of times. As you can see, that shade Best Friends at the bottom, in the bottom row, if I can get it to focus here. It's like a duochrome, sort of brownie burgundy to a blue kind of shift. And I have made a dip in it. For goodness sakes, will this please just focus? Come on, camera, do your job. Anyway, you probably can see the dip anyways, like just from me twisting it, because it's a metallic shade. You can kind of see that dip in this one shade right here, and it looks pretty significant. And it is, and the reason for that isn't because I've used it a whole ton. It's actually because it was a little bit difficult to work with, and I do have that same duochrome shade in another formula that I actually prefer, just because I find it's easier to work with. It just works a lot. It's a lot more pigmented, and like you can really see the shift a lot more in my other version of it, which is a Cliona Cosmetics single shadow. So whenever I want to go for that look, which is one of my favorite looks to go for, the blue and burgundy duochrome, like all over the lid, I love putting that on as like just a really quick and easy look. But I tend to reach for the other one that I have because I prefer the formula of that one. So it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be another one that's hard for me to reach for, just because I have essentially the same shadow in a better formula, so why would I ever reach for this one? That being said, the mattes in here are really, really nice. I really enjoy them so far, but I've only used this like maybe once or twice. So that one's also just going to be one that I would like to try and get more use out of in the next month. So that by the next update, hopefully you'll see like the start of some kind of a dip, but because it's so new, it's going to be difficult to really make that much of an impact on it for next update. So that's just the way it goes when you add like brand new palettes to these project pans. It's like, unless I'm using literally the same color every single day for a month, like you're not going to see a ton of progress, unfortunately. But this is going to be an ongoing project for me, like pretty much until I finish these palettes completely. So since it's at the beginning stages, it's a little bit less interesting at this point. But I'm hoping going forward, obviously, the more I use it, the more you'll notice, just obviously. So that is it for the update for this video. I will be back again in a month to show you guys the progress on these particular palettes in a month from now, and hopefully I will have a little bit more of an interesting update by that point. It is going to be March in a couple of days, so it's going to be springtime, and I think this Clover palette in particular, it has a really springtime kind of color story, so I think that one will be the one I focus on the most, just because I'm feeling really like spring, Easter kind of vibes right now. So we'll see how that goes. And I will catch you guys in the next update. But if you'd like to see other videos that I put out, I do put out a video every single day, just, you know, doing first impressions, getting ready with me's, just those kind of things. So if you're into that, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.